Hey, that was pretty impressive. You guys even remember how to be in chapel. Good morning. It's Wednesday. I'll ask you to stand. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you. Now we'll invite Rory up for the announcements.
Top of the morning. Today is Wednesday, April 13th, and it's a green day. A reminder that tomorrow we will follow the fashion show schedule. At 8 a.m., freshmen and sophomores should report directly to Fuller Hall, and juniors and seniors should report directly to their advisory room locations. At 8:40, the two groups will switch, and juniors and seniors will report to Fuller, and freshmen and sophomores will report to their advisory locations. A block will begin at 9:20 a.m. Good morning, designers and models. The circus is in town. We need all models and designers to attend rehearsals on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's today. Rehearsals will run from 3:30 to 5:30 in Fuller Hall. If you have already reached out to Miss Darling regarding schedule conflicts, thank you. There are many conflicting events, but these are our only opportunities to rehearse before Thursday's show. So don't be silly and show up. Attention international students. Any student wanting to take the May 14th TOEFL must register by the end of the school day tomorrow. See Ms. McCaffrey in the guidance office to register. Space is limited and priority will be given to juniors. Weather permitting, the outing club will meet at the SJA climbing wall tomorrow at 3:45. If you are interested, see Mr. Weiss or Mr. Holden and let them know that you would like to attend. If it's raining, we will not meet and will resume all climbing activities and trips after break. Dare to explore. GSU and Chess Club will not be meeting today. See you after break. Interested in job opportunities in Vermont? Check in with Mr. Carr via email at acarr@stjacademy.org for more information on the virtual Vermont job fairs. Mrs. McGarvin's Intro to Human Services class would like to remind folks that the deadline to submit coloring contest entries is Thursday morning, preferably before A block. Coloring sheets were provided to advisories as a part of our awareness campaign for Sexual Assault Awareness Month as a follow-up to the Wear Teal Day event. Advisories are being asked to complete coloring sheets in advisory time, and within each advisory, select the best coloring sheet completed and submit it to Ms. McGarvin's mailbox or room Streeter 225, no later than Thursday morning, April 14th. Please include the student and advisor's name on the back of the sheet submitted for judging. Students of the Intro to Human Services class will judge the sheets during E-Block on Thursday, April 14th. The winning sheet/advisory will be announced in chapel when we return from break and will receive a fabulous gift basket to share during advisory time later that week. Happy birthday today to Fabiana Morales and Amari Trott. Happy birthday. Today for sports, girls tennis versus Montpelier at 3:30. Please dismiss the team at 2:10. And varsity's girls lacrosse at Lamoille at 4:30. Please dismiss the teams at 1:30. Have a good day.
Thank you, Rory. So we have some late announcements. Girls JV lacrosse lost to CVU 15-4. Yesterday, boys tennis beat Mount Mansfield 7-0. And at yesterday's track field meet down at Rutland, the boys were led by Jaden Thompson's wins in the 200 and 400, and Connor Collins and Aiden Brody's sweep of the hurdles for the win. The boys outscored the other three teams combined. The girls also outscored Rutland, Windsor, and West Rutland in terms of their combined score, as Desiree Mendez won the 100 and 300 hurdles, Hazel Fay won the 400, and Katie Ryan won the 800. Congratulations. Speaking of Aiden Brody, we have Aiden and some sophomores for a March Madness announcement.
Good morning, everyone. The Final Four basketball tournaments for both the men's and the women's were filled with lots of thrilling games. The results are in for our campus-wide challenge. In the women's basketball bracket challenge, the third-place winner was Hayden Wilkins with 158 points, and in second place was Alan Ruggles with a score of 159 points. For our men's bracket challenge, the third-place winner was Ty Hartshorn with 111 points, and our second-place winner was Mr. Messick with 112 points. The interesting twist with this competition, with our own bit of madness, is Mr. LaCroix is the winner of both tournaments. He scored 178 points for the women's and 123 points in the men's bracket. Thank you to everyone who supported the sophomore class through the month of March.
Mr. LaCroix has decided to declare the winning charity to be the sophomore class and donate the winnings back to the class of 2024. To continue with the fun and games, however, Mr. LaCroix has created an opportunity for 2 advisories to have the Dunkin' Donuts party by accepting a competitive challenge. Here is Mr. LaCroix to explain the school-wide challenge.
All right, thank you sophomores for hosting the March Madness tournament. I hope to crown myself a champion next year as well. So last night I sent every advisor an email with a guessing sheet. Okay, this guessing sheet is an SJA alumni guessing sheet. So there are senior photos from various people who work here, and your advisory has to guess who they are. Okay, the responses need to be turned in by tomorrow after your chapel. So when the whole switches happen after the fashion show, please remind your advisors to send in the guessing sheets. All right. Advisories with the most correct answers will be put into a drawing. So if 5 advisories get all 10 correct, 5 advisors' names will go into a hat. We'll pick 2 advisors to win the Dunkin' Donuts party. All right. So there's 10 photos of teachers or staff who work here. Your advisors have those sheets in their email. Thank you.
Okay, I can't resist. Lucky number 7 is Mr. Langmaid, by the way. He looks a lot younger. So as you guys know, I often like to speak about the events of the world around us in chapel, and Dr. Howell asked me if I would speak about last week's historic confirmation of our newest justice to the Supreme Court, Justice Jackson. And I said, well, sure, I'd be happy to do that. As you guys may know, I've taught advanced placement government and politics for a long time, and I carry around the Constitution with me. And then I realized, oh, that's quite a challenge to try to put in context the historic confirmation of Justice Jackson, when, as we will see, in fact, we have to go back 807 years to really get the full context. So here we go. We're going to try to do this in a relatively short time, even though the context is over 807 years old. So in preparation, I was reading from 2 of my favorite scholars, John Patrick, who is emeritus professor of law at the University of Indiana, and Mr. Orth, who's professor of law at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And in his introduction to the book, Pursuit of Justice, Professor Patrick writes, "The Supreme Court of the United States seems a mysterious, distant institution. On closer examination, however, this seemingly inscrutable institution of legal oracles turns out to be a uniquely human enterprise, shaped by the personalities of its justices and by the disputes that constantly roil American society. Why that matters is the human factor. We have 9 justices, Their role really, as designed, as hopefully you're learning in U.S. history class, most of you juniors here in the audience, is to check the other two branches in terms of making sure they don't overreach on their powers and that they don't become tyrannical. But in terms of being a reflection of human society, and particularly of that of America, until 1967, the court was made up of all old white men. That's not really reflective of American society if we think about it. In 1967, that changed. Justice Marshall was confirmed to the court, was the first African American on the court. Then in 1981, Justice O'Connor was confirmed, became the first woman on the court. Currently, there are now 4 women who sit on the court, actually there will be as of July, out of the 9 justices. So we might say we're approaching a reflection of society. But why does this really matter? Why should we care? And this is where we go back 807 years. Don't worry, that's just the radiators. They aren't going to hurt you. In Clause 39 of the Magna Carta, the barons forced King John to write, "No free man is to be arrested or imprisoned or deceased or outlawed or exiled or any other way ruined, nor will go against him or send against him, except by the lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land." In legem terrae is quite a Latin phrase that becomes due process. And why does due process matter? Well, due process is in the 5th Amendment to the United States. You should not be deprived of your life, liberty, or property without due process at the federal level, and in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, where the states are prevented from taking your life, liberty, or property without due process. And for a long time, due process in the United States had to do with your property. Due process evolved from procedural, what the law actually said, making sure legal processes were followed in the system of criminal justice. And then in the 20th century, it really had to do with economic substantive due process. Some ideas, hopefully, that you'll ask your teachers about. It will take a long time to explain substantive due process. But in the 21st century, it has become the court's primary concern, the idea of substantive due process. And to try to explain this, we'll go with Professor Orth, who wrote what is considered one of the best treatises on due process, in fact, one of the shortest ones. He writes, quote, "Executive and legislative action may be so disproportionate to proper governmental ends that due process in another sense," and this is where we get into substantive part of it, "may be violated." The courts considered this in their Lochner case early in the 21st century, and they defined it as the law needs to be fair, reasonable, and appropriate. It's the 9 justices that determine what is fair, reasonable, and appropriate. And as Professor Patrick wrote earlier, where I quoted him, it is a uniquely human enterprise. There are 9 humans on the bench deciding what is fair, reasonable, and appropriate. And they actually don't have any other power other than to settle disputes. The court can't reach out and make judgment. They can only make judgment on those disputes that come before them. And so this is why it becomes extremely important what the court looks like. And does it really reflect the society of our republic? On the docket now and in the near future are such cases that deal with privacy, free speech, and yesterday afternoon, I heard an entire piece on voting rights. the very heart of our republic. These things will come before the court in this term and in the next term, and so I think it really matters a great deal what the court looks like and who is on the court deciding what is fair, reasonable, and appropriate. So I hope that even though the court seems far away and that you don't necessarily think of the Supreme Court in your day-to-day lives, they do affect your personal liberties more and more in the 21st century. That's what's coming before the court. And I'd hope that you would think a little bit about this appointment in that the court is now a bit more reflective of who we are as a society. Hopefully everybody in here who are juniors have a little slip. If you're taking the SATs, SATs will be in the field house. Sophomores, you should have gotten a slip. Most of you guys will be in the gym. There are some other locations, so make sure you check the slip that your advisor had. Good luck today. I hope you are thinking clearly. And a shout out to my advisees. They know every Wednesday is hump day, so happy hump day, everybody.